Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bitter Rivals podcast. This is episode 89. I am your host, along with co-host Avery Roush and Gitano Gallo. What day is it today? Today is March the 19th. I should know that. It's my anniversary today. And in saying that, it is probably going to be a little bit of a speed run-through episode. Not going to lie. So as always, we will get started with a little bit of Leafs content. They played 4 games this week, lost 2. 1-2. The first game was on, since the last episode of the podcast anyway, was on Monday. They played Buffalo and lost 4-3. They were up in that game, and Buffalo did come back. Buffalo had 3 goals in the third period, and that's what it was. It was an offensive powerhouse versus another offensive powerhouse, and one just won, and the team that knows how to play defense didn't play good enough defense. So that's what happened. It was a couple of Goliaths going at each other offensively anyway. Obviously, Buffalo is not one of the better teams in the league, but I'm talking an offensive juggernaut, and that we can agree that they are. And didn't end in Toronto's favor, that one. Anyway, following that up was a shootout loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Now, that game was like defense, just the most intense defensive game that I've seen in a while. Both teams really shut it down. Morgan Rielly scored a goal for the first time in a while. He's played really good this week. The 4 games that he's played this week, after the criticism that he took, from me included, he really bounced back. He's been playing really well defensively, and he's stepped up his offensive contributions as well. So that's been really nice to see. I don't even, now I'm moving on to the Carolina game, and we won 5-2, and thank God we won 5-2, because I was booking flights to the Department of Player Safety, man. I have no idea. I can't even put it into words how awful the officiating was in that hockey game. That was the Friday night game. They played back-to-backs Friday and last night. And I was out for dinner, so I caught just a little bit. I was watching it on my phone, and I really, really struggled to see what these guys are watching. I'm at a loss for words, man. That Noel Acciari got butt end sticked in the jaw. It's not confirmed whether or not he has a concussion yet, but it was interference at our blue line by clotheslining a guy with the butt end of your stick in his face, and there's no call. Within minutes, Kalle Järnkrok gets driven into the Carolina goaltender, who is Pyotr Kochetkov, I believe.
Yeah.
Gets, stops about 2 feet. You can see his skates. You know what it looks like when a hockey player is stopping. He stops about 2 feet in front of the crease, and then is pushed in by Brady Shea into Kochetkov.
Into the goal.
And gets called for goalie interference. That was one of the worst goaltender interference calls that I have ever seen. It was so clear that it was not, what else could he have done in that situation? Literally, there was no other option. He was driven by a Carolina player, Brady Shea, into the Carolina goaltender. What are you watching? How do you possibly, especially after you just watched Noel Acciari get headshotted with the butt end of a stick and you don't call it? Neither of you, both of which are looking directly at it. And then you follow that up by giving that penalty to the Leafs? To Järnkrok? That was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. And that's saying something, because we've ranted about it at length on this show. And usually it's a cumulative effect, more than one game. Usually it's a few games that we see in a row one of our teams is just getting picked on by the refs. But that was one of the most egregious single games I've ever seen, man. What are you getting paid to do?
Game management.
What are you there for? That was embarrassing. The NHL should be absolutely ashamed of that. That was really, really something, man. really, really something. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Anyway, moving on to last night's game, which again I didn't get a whole opportunity to watch. I caught the last 10 minutes ish of the third period and overtime and the shootout. They terribly outshot the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ottawa outshot them. I believe it was 52. Here, hold on a second here. Let me get some numbers for you.
And I will say that overtime and shootout were incredibly entertaining. Like, that was really fucking good.
Were we watching
as
the
a
same
neutral?
Time?
As a neutral,
that was not entertaining. That was just, I don't know. I thought that was garbage. It was 5 minutes straight of passing the puck to your goaltender and to a guy that's not.
There was some good back and forth action for sure.
I disagree. I think that was honestly a pretty coached, not entertaining shootout for my liking. Or not shootout, overtime, sorry. The shootout actually was entertaining. It was the longest shootout of the year to this point. I'm not a huge fan of the shootout. We've talked about this before. I think they should just have more 3-on-3 overtime. 2 reasons. I think more 3-on-3 overtime, you're going to see more mistakes in that final 5 minutes. If you make it a 10-minute overtime, you're going to see more mistakes in that second 5 minutes, just because it's harder to manage 3-on-3 for 10 rather than 5 minutes. And then you get rid of the shootout.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they should go. But anyway, back to this game. That was a very entertaining shootout. Matt Murray played fantastic. From what I saw. And my other understanding also is that like the tying goal, the fourth goal was a terrible bounce. It was a great block by McCabe, and then it bounces right down to Tkachuk, and that's the goal. And then I believe there was another one. My father was telling me that was just, I didn't see it, but it was a pretty wild deflection
first
too.
Or second one hits, like, it's a point shot, like low point shot, hits something, goes like probably 15-20 feet up in the air, and comes down and drops directly into the net.
So what do you want Matt Murray to do on that one? I'm not saying that he's the guy, because I think Samson is the guy. I don't think there's really much argument there. But yeah, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm more confident now than I was right after the trade deadline, because I'm not. But they've really calmed the storm the past week. Let's call it that. Anyway, so that was the week in Toronto. What's going on in Montreal?
A lot of everything went on in Montreal this week. Started the week losing 8-4 to the Colorado Avalanche. Arturi Lehkonen made his return to the Bell Center for the first time since being traded. Got a standing O and then scored 2 goals on us. And then broke his finger, out for the rest of the season. Should be back for playoffs. But yeah, we just lost to a much superior team. Then we went to Pittsburgh and beat the Penguins 6-4. And then Thursday night against Florida, one of the craziest periods I've ever seen in my life. There were, let me get the final number here. But in the first period ended 6-3 to Florida. And there was a total of about 15 saves between the goalies. Jake Allen got pulled, Sam Montembeault got pulled after giving up 3-on-4 shots. Bobrovsky, until the 5-minute mark of the first period, had 3 goals against and 0 saves. And then Jake Allen would go in and then get pulled in the second for Montembeault to come back in. It was a shit show of a game. And yeah, it ended with 10 goals on 19 shots in the first period.
Yeah, that's just a whole lot of everything happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those, like, even the Montreal goals, it just very much felt like the puck had eyes and just wanted to go in the net all night, no matter what got through. You could have dumped it into the corner, it could have ended up in the net. It was wild to watch. And then last night, losing 5-3 to Tampa, actually kept it pretty close. Tampa needed the empty netter to seal it with about 30 seconds left. So a lot of less competitive losing this week, but still some good results for the Habs. Also, results around the league with Arizona and Philly picking up some wins has been good for the Habs, as they've dropped to 28th. So they are now officially a bottom 5 team and are within a couple points of Anaheim and Chicago for being maybe a bottom 3 or 4 team.
Well, that's interesting. it's kind of difficult for you to talk about the Habs because the whole objective of this season is to lose. So like I don't
Pretty
really
much.
I honestly feel for you. The entire time that we've been doing this podcast, the Leafs have been a very competitive hockey team, so I've just been able to talk about competitive hockey. You have not at all.
And that
Well,
first season was good.
the first season was good because you ended up making a playoff run, but I mean, since then, man, whew, it's been tough to be a Montreal Canadiens media member.
Well, you know what? I have to give credit to Hughes and Gordon for this. They're making it a lot easier by actually embracing the rebuild. You know, like I would hate to be a Canucks fan. I'd hate to be a Blackhawks fan, where like everyone knows what needs to be done, but the owners and management refuse to do it.
All the Blackhawks are actually doing what needs to be done, but I mean, I understand the
Well,
point that you're making with the Canucks.
well, the Blackhawks are taking the really weird route about it, trading DeBrincat and Doc and keeping Kane and Taves until this fucking deadline. Like, you know what I mean? They could be doing it a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
no, they could have gotten more for Patrick Kane. They could have gotten more for Jake McCabe. They could have maybe not retained 50% of his salary for 3 years, but they did. So you're right. Maybe they're not taking the conventional route, but they're getting the job done, in my opinion. They're bottom team in the NHL, and that's the entire objective. So
yeah.
that's
But yeah, so like I said, credit to Gorton and Hughes for actually, making this, I don't want to say enjoyable or entertaining, but making it easy for us as Habs fans.
yeah. You said you wanted to get into the Q banning fighting.
Yeah, I do, because it kind of came out of nowhere. It felt like it's not like wasn't something that was discussed for a while, but the QMJHL is banning fighting from next season onwards. What do you think?
I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, to be honest with you. That's my opinion, and I understand that it is just that. That's my opinion. But hockey, part of the thing that makes this game unique, part of the thing that made me fall in love with this game was fighting. And part of the reason that fighting needs to exist, I mentioned it earlier, the NHL, its Department of Player Safety, and its officials are all incompetent, completely incompetent. So there needs to be justice served somehow, and that's how. And I think, and especially taking it from junior, I think that's a grave, grave error because there are going to be kids that aren't used to fighting. They're going to get to the NHL, and Ryan Reeves is going to want to fight them, or Jacob Trouba is going to want to fight them. Wayne Simmons is going to want to take a piece out of them, and they've never done it before because they weren't allowed to do it in junior. And I think that's ridiculous and terrible. And you can talk about player safety. I understand that. Players generally, fights aren't what hurts them, right? Like we can look at the statistics. I don't know exactly what they are, but my experience watching the game, playing the game, guys get hurt from dirty hits. Guys get hurt from unfortunate freak plays. Nobody gets hurt from fighting. Like maybe a broken hand or something like that.
Jack guy threw his shoulder out, but
in a fight, but like I'm talking, like I think what they're trying to protect is children's brains, right? Like that's the idea here. It's a part of the game, and taking it out of major junior hockey it would make more sense to me if it was coming out of the rest of the game, if the NHL was following suit, if the OHL was following suit, because you're making these kids, the only thing you're doing is ensuring that they are not prepared when they get to the NHL to have to drop the gloves, which is, it happens. They're not taking it out of the NHL. It's a part of the game. It's what keeps a lot of the American fans into it. Seriously. So, yeah, it's a grave error. It's a huge mistake, in my opinion. And I get it. You want to protect players. Like I said, fights generally aren't what hurt them. And do you know what does hurt them? Dirty hits. Do you know how you stop dirty hits from happening? Because Department of Player Safety is useless? Fighting. That's how you stop it. So.
Yeah, I feel basically the same as you. Kind of, if they wanted to get rid of fighting, because obviously I understand from the health and safety aspect why, but like that's kind of, it's a way more complex issue than just fighting. If the Q said, you know what, we're going to get rid of fighting, but we are going to, overhaul our referees and our discipline to kind of make up for that, I'd be like, okay, now I'm on board. Now I think there's something here. But to just pull fighting from the game and say, oh, that's going to fix the problem, like, no, it's so much bigger of a problem than that.
Well, guys are going to be taking a lot of liberties in the
Oh, yeah.
QMJHL. Guys are going to be getting hurt because you can't fight when your teammate gets his bell rung, right? Like that's something that's, and I'll be honest, I hate seeing it after a clean hit, but that's what happens in today's hockey, today's NHL anyway. I don't watch a lot of junior hockey, especially in Quebec. I watch mostly OHL games if I am going to watch junior hockey, but when a guy gets his bell rung, when a guy gets hurt, dirty or clean, and I hate the clean ones, I'll be honest with you. When a guy gets lit up clean, he shouldn't have to fight.
So they were talking about that at the GM meetings last week. They're saying maybe bringing the instigator a little more to the front. I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The instigator, now, the way it's called now is usually if you're fighting a guy before his gloves hit the ice, you're going to get called for an instigator. But to me, an instigator is like if you watch your teammate get hit, you skate across the ice and lay a cross check or a two-handed slash on a guy,
Or just drop
and
the
then
gloves.
or you drop the gloves, then you have instigated that fight.
Yeah,
Right?
I definitely think if after the fact, if the officials sit down and discuss and say, okay, that was a clean hit, the guy who came in, instigator every time.
Every time. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't want hitting is another thing that made me love the game growing up. I loved watching a big hit, and I loved watching Ty Domi fill guys' faces in. That's what made me fall in love specifically with the Toronto Maple Leafs, actually. So I would be absolutely horrified to see it go. I actually saw Luke Gazdic, who, if you've watched him play, built a lot of his career on fighting. He was almost in tears talking about this, talking about the fact that the Q was wanting to do this. And I stole that point from him, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
These kids aren't going to be prepared when they get to the NHL and they have to fight somebody. They're not going to be because they weren't allowed to do it in junior. And part of what made Luke Gazdic successful in the NHL was his ability to fight. And part of the thing that got him drafted into the NHL was his ability to fight in the Q, or probably in the O. I think Gazdic's an O guy. But
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, he's not exactly a front of mind player, but
no.
Which is exactly why he needed to fight to make it where he was and where he got to.
You know what? It was someone, I want to say it was Colby Armstrong, was talking about how, and it wasn't directly related to the fighting thing, but he was saying that there's almost like it's a mold now that every junior, every kid, like if you're not the kid who skates through six guys and rips it bar down, like you're doing something wrong, in quotations. Like you're not going to be that guy. But like there's so many, like you can't have a team full of those guys. You can't have a team full of fucking superstars in the NHL. It doesn't happen. You have to have your third liners, your fourth liners, your big shutdown defensemen, your penalty killers, like, and a lot of how those guys, survive in the NHL is by fighting. Like that's
Look at Arbor Jack.
Yeah. Like
I'm not saying that he is just a meathead fighter, but he probably wouldn't be where he is if he didn't have that ability.
Exactly. And that's kind of the key thing is, because I love Arbor Jack guy. He's never going to be Victor Hedman in terms of defensive skill. But if he can be a serviceable NHL defenseman who also beats the fuck out of people when he has to, now he has value.
Exactly, right? And that's what they're trying to take out of the game by doing that, is that player, right? That guy who really wouldn't be there if it wasn't for that part of the game. Anyway, that actually gives us a segue into another thing that we really, really should discuss, and that is Jordan Binnington. What a loser that guy is. Like, he's the perfect heel. He's a great heel, but this isn't the WWE. This is the National Hockey League.
So I watched the broadcast last night and they were talking about it. So I'm going to give the refs a bit of credit here. So two things. Minnesota's a playoff team. And if Marc-Andre Fleury breaks his hand fighting Jordan Binnington at the end of March and they lose him for the playoffs, that fucking sucks. Because that's super preventable injury, right? And two, most of the time when a guy's being a fucking idiot, the ref's first thing is just get him off the ice. So by don't let him sit around and fuck with other shit. just get him off the ice, which is what they were trying to do with Binnington. But that being said, that would have been box office, that fight.
We were robbed. We were robbed of a Marc-Andre Fleury versus Jordan Binnington scrap. That would have been, when I say, I am understating it when I say that would have been electric, man. Like, did you see the video of Fleury mic'd up too?
Yeah.
That was
great.
Fantastic. Like, come on, let's go. Come on, the fans are gonna love it. This guy always wants to fight somebody. Let's do it. Come on. He is a national treasure, that guy.
But actually, it's in that video that you hear the ref, like, once Binnington's off the ice, then he lets go of Fleury. Because Fleury's like, I'm just trying to grab my stuff. And the ref, like, looks, he goes, okay, he's off the ice. Yeah, you can grab your stuff. So I think that's what they're trying to do, was just they didn't want it to escalate any further.
Oh, come on, though. You're telling me that wouldn't have been the lead story on every hockey broadcast the next morning?
I mean, like, it still was. It didn't happen, and it still was.
Exactly. That would have been one of the greatest things ever. I think I speak for most hockey fans when I say I wanted nothing more than to see Jordan Binnington get his nose broken or something, man.
So here's the thing.
Nothing
Personally,
more.
I don't think Fleury would be the guy to do it. I think Fleury's too nice of a guy. Like, you need another fucking...
He was about to pop his teeth in, man. Like, he skated down the ice, dropped his mitts, and was ready to go.
Now you need another fucking lunatic to fight Binnington.
Maybe Marc-Andre Fleury is a lunatic, and we don't even really know it.
I don't know. He just seems so nice that, like, I feel like he would.
I feel like the only reason he did that
would not
is
be the
because
guy to
he's never
humble
done
him.
it before, and he was like, "Man, I need to do this before my career ends." And then
he's done it. He's done it in junior, and also hurt his hand in that fight.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Which kind of leads into the whole, like, you don't want him doing that. Like, could you imagine when the Habs play the Leafs in a couple of weeks, if Samsonov and Sam Montembeault go at it and Samsonov breaks his hand in a fight?
I would not be happy. You're right.
Exactly.
Right. No, I understand. We were still absolutely robbed. That would have been.
Oh yeah, it would have been
like.
It would have been one of the highlights of the year for sure.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed that didn't take place. But anyway, it's over and done with now. Binnington ended up getting 2 games, compared himself to Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting for some reason, and yeah, he's a weirdo. He's an absolute freak. I was actually listening to Overdrive, and Frankie Corrado too was like, he's like, I played minor hockey with the guy. Like, I'm friends with Binnington. I've known him for a long time, and this is Frankie Corrado saying this, and he goes, he's not that guy. Like, I don't know why he acts like, it's like he's got an alter ego. Like, he is built like a spaghetti noodle. Like, that is what Jordan Binnington is built like. I don't know. It's like something takes over because he can't. Like, there's no way he can hold his own in a fight. There's
when the adrenaline kicks in, like, that's just...
Why was he even going after Hartman for it? He tried to trip Hartman and then goes after him.
I don't know.
Like, that was ridiculous. Like, I hate that guy. He's such a loser. He's
entertaining and shit.
We're talking about him, so, like, I guess any publicity is good publicity. Anyway, that's about all I got for this week. Is there anything else that we're missing? I feel like there is, maybe.
Any
big injuries? Oh, Svechnikov getting hurt was a pretty big blow.
Oh yeah, he's done, like, playoffs. Like, no chance.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah. And that's not good for Carolina. Love the experts though when the Leafs smoked Carolina 5-2, especially, and were conspired against by the 2 referees on the ice, and we still beat them 5-2. Media was just framing it like, oh well, they don't have Svechnikov. We're still the second best team in the league, man. What are you talking about? like Andrei Svechnikov is not Austin Matthews. Like, what?
No, and the Carolina Hurricanes are not built like the Maple Leafs either. Like, they're just...
I don't mean this as offense skill, a lot deeper though. That's what I find.
That's what I was going to try and say. I was trying to word that without firing shots, because the Leafs are also good. But, like, yeah.
Yeah, they less top end skill. Like they don't have Matthews, Marner, Nylander. I would take our big four over any one of their players personally. But
Yeah, I mean,
then
like
1
unless
through 12, I would say is better than our 1 through 12, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, like I wouldn't take Aho over any of those four. Me, like I can't even
maybe
say Tavares though,
Tavares.
because he's been really, really good this year. Like really, really good. And he's
Like
like
it would depend on if we're saying like just a one-off, like just we're not looking past this year. No, if you're looking like long term, then yes, because of
okay,
age
yeah,
and things.
well,
But
yeah,
like,
John Tavares is like only got yeah, of course.
yeah,
Of course I'd rather take a young guy like a
yeah,
Svechnikov or an Aho, but
yeah.
not not this year for sure. I'd rather have it. I think Aho until last night he scored a beauty overtime winner against Philly. Did you see that? Walked
He
right
did.
through Tony DeRacist and yeah, that was a beautiful overtime winner. But anyway, that was his first point in 7 games. Aho. That's not a stat that I was expecting to hear during that Leafs game.
No, especially the way they've been fucking rolling.
Yeah, no kidding.
Also, that's scary that they can roll like that with him not putting up any points.
Yeah, no kidding. Like number 2 in the league. And actually, there's one more thing we should talk about. We've already talked about this a little bit, so we just kind of have to touch on it. James Reimer decided that he wasn't going to wear his Pride jersey last night.
Yep.
And again, another idiot citing Catholicism for the reason behind that. So, yeah, I'm not going to hide my opinion. He's an idiot, and you know what? He was one of the most liked guys in the league, and that reputation took a pretty fucking big hit last night. And good, because that's bullshit. And then for
Like,
whatever reason, he tried to drag Nazem Kadri into it because he's a Muslim, and said, "You can talk to my old teammate Nazem Kadri." He wouldn't have wanted me to wear a Muslim jersey if we had Muslim awareness night because he understands my faith in Christianity. Like Nazem Kadri's got to be waking up this morning going, "What the hell did I get? What? Where did you get me? Like what?"
like that's the type of thing where you just mute your phone and you're just like, no, I'm
Like,
just
Nas has got to wake up this morning and go like, what? Fuck me? What do you say fuck me for? Like, you know what I mean? Like that
yeah.
50 Cent meme. But yeah. Anyway.
And like the thing that kills me is he puts out that statement and like the last like paragraph of it, like couple lines was like, oh, like I have no issue, like we want to, these people are welcome, the LGBTQ community is welcome, they hockey is for everyone. And it's like that little blurb at the end of that is what wearing the jersey at warm-up does.
Yes.
So you can say it, or you can just wear the jersey for 10 minutes of warm-up. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing.
Let me give you a quote. This is from, we can criticize this guy for a lot of things, but yes, his defense of the LGBTQ plus community has always been second to none. Here's a quote from him about the James Reimer situation. "I repeat that I am extremely disappointed. I wish players would understand that Pride sweaters are about inclusion and welcoming everybody. A player wearing Pride colors or tape isn't endorsing a set of values or even enlisting in a cause. He is saying that you are welcome here. You are in every single NHL building." That is exactly my point. We are not asking you, James, to go out there and make out with your teammates, man. Like, that's not what this is. We are asking you to put on a jersey that tells everybody in this building that takes pride in that jersey that they are welcome here. That is all you are doing. You are not proclaiming yourself as homosexual. That is not what it is. You are just telling the people they are welcome. That's it. I'm not a Catholic, but my understanding is the biggest teaching that this Jesus guy says is love everybody.
Jesus guy.
Love everybody, right? Isn't that supposed to be the main thing that people are supposed to take?
It's like the golden rule: love each other like you love yourself. I think was the phrasing.
For somebody who claims to be a pretty big Christian, he's really not listening to the biggest teaching, is he?
Yeah. Also, like, has he, based on his religion, like, not played games on Sundays in his professional career? Because that's one of the things in their book. It's that you don't work on Sundays.
Yeah, that is definitely in the book.
Like,
well, and the other thing that really, really threw me for a loop is he is in the past used Pride tape. And in his little, what did he put? Like his little statement that he put out.
Yeah.
He says that this is just taking it a step too far by wearing the jersey.
Yeah.
What?
I don't
even have to tell you why that's dumb. I think you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Really. Like, it doesn't deserve more time than we've given it already either, but man, like, that's just so frustrating to me. And I gotta say, good on the the San Jose Sharks organization for not canceling the event because their idiot goaltender didn't want to put on the jersey. And the players, the other players, all the other ones who went out there and did wear the jersey, good on them too. Because they had a choice to make. They could have stuck with their teammate and said, if he's not doing it, then we're not doing it because we don't want to, whatever, single him out, whatever. But they didn't. They said, we are going to wear the jerseys. We are going to show everybody that you're the one who didn't want to.
Okay.
So, good on the organization and good on the rest of the players. Just had to say that.
All right, Ave, any closing thoughts?
No, I am all out of words for today, actually.
All right. I just have two quick little things. Habs signed Jaden Struble from Northeastern College to his ELC, kicks in next year. And last night, Lane Hutson scored the OT winner for Boston University as they won the Hockey East title. So some good young Habs defensemen doing their thing. Cannot wait to see Hutson, probably not next year, the year after, playing in Montreal, but kid looks like a fucking stud, Ave. How he dropped to like 65th, I want to say he was picked, is beyond me.
Yeah, there's a few guys that's happened with throughout the years, but yeah, I've seen Lane Hutson. He does look like a player, man. He looks like a player.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do the Habs have coming up this week?
So this week we have the Lightning at home on Tuesday, then we go to Boston on Thursday, and then have the Jackets at home on Saturday. So a nice quiet week.
Yeah, we got triple threat this week. Tuesday, we are in Long Island. Thursday, we are in Florida at FLA Live Arena. And then we have a rematch with the Hurricanes on Saturday, 7 p.m. And yes, those are all road games. They're on a little bit of a road trip. They also, I guess this will be a game that will begin before the episode drops, but we'll probably record. We have a Sunday at 6 p.m. game, so.
Yeah, so unless anything crazy happens, like we'll have already recorded, but unless you want to record it during the game, I don't think you want to.
No, I don't. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And I think they have a good chance to go 4-0 this week. We'll see what happens though.
Hopefully not, but you know.
All right. Anything else you have to get off your chest here, Gitano?
No, I think that is everything for this week.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for listening once again. Thank you to the Game Entertainment and Media for hosting us on your platforms. Check us out on all our socials, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube account, and wherever else that I can't think of right now. Am I missing anything? We have two Twitter accounts, actually, now.
Yeah, we do.
Give them both a follow. We'll link those up for you. And thank you for listening again. We will talk to you next week for episode 90. We're getting closer to the playoff season, so we have lots to talk about. Thanks again, and see you next week.